Hi, and welcome back to Elements in Focus. My name is Grant Soliven.
And I'm Aaron Rheaume.
Aaron, it is so good to be doing this with you, my friend, and it is so good to have you along with us on the show today. For those that are new joining the show at Elements in Focus, it is Aaron and I's responsibility, along with other members of our team, to cover the 5 critical elements that we have trademarked as an organization. Now, a lot of you who've heard this show are probably sick of hearing us say this, but it's so important to say over and over again. Success is never dependent on one thing. And you may go back to your grade school analogy of that iceberg where a lot of the work is done underneath the water, right? And it keeps the little bit on top afloat. But what's interesting is failure can be dependent on one thing. And that's why we've broken out our 5 critical elements into these pillars. And we go through them one by one on the show. And today we're actually going to talk about tax planning. Now, this is a hard topic, especially with the season that we've been living through in the last couple years. It's now 2022 at the time of this recording. COVID has not gone away, and we are still seeing and feeling the ramifications of that. And so one of the topics Aaron and I wanted to cover today in particular is what happens to your tax situation in the event you're losing a spouse. And I'll start with this. If you have lost a spouse due to COVID or any other reason, we empathize, our hearts are with you, and we're so sorry that you're having to deal with this. It's not an easy situation. We recommend you contact your planner or our team to kind of walk through and facilitate some questions you may have. But in this event, Aaron, what are some of the things that our listeners and other people who are maybe stumble upon the channel need to know or to think about when an event like this happens?
Yeah, Grant, and I appreciate the intro. You could definitely tell the heartfelt, warm sincerities, and I second what you're saying. We are in very, very trying times, and people are losing spouses and loved ones, and so there's this old adage, and I may be getting this incorrectly, but you want to act right away if someone passes away. You got to act on things. Traditionally, we tell people from a financial planning standpoint to not act right away. Take some time to think through things. However, the tax return may be one of those things where we might have to make an immediate impact depending on what time of the year it is. So one of the biggest things that people really kind of misguide themselves when they're doing planning overall is what happens to your tax return after a spouse passes away. Yeah. Most assets have been accumulated, saved, grown while married filing jointly. So you have 2 people on a tax return, your income levels are higher, you get higher income margin levels. And when a spouse passes away, Grant, you lose that ability to have that married filing jointly status.
100%.
And so those brackets that you're used to having get compressed. And so that's why I say from a seasonal standpoint, if you're, in November, December, there's things that we might have to do to react towards some of those last-minute items that we need to take care of prior to year-end. And so, as I said earlier in my statement, there are things that you want to take time reacting to. If a spouse passes away, I would tell you, if we take care of you, reach out to us immediately. Let FEG go to work for you and being able to help you through this situation.
100%. And the reason why our industry tries to help families understand not to make rash decisions too quickly is there are unfortunately, a lot of people who consider themselves financial representatives that will prey on people's fear and vulnerability.
Sure.
And unfortunately, we see that more often than not. Aaron, you and I have had to unwind countless situations where a spouse went into a quote-unquote planner and then ended up wrecking their entire situation, and we were luckily involved in enough time to fix everything. But when it comes to the tax return, I want you to hear something that Aaron said. You have 1 year to make sure that everything lines up in that tax return, because it's the last year you'll have to file jointly with that spouse. And this is why you need to work with a team, or you need to pay attention to tax code as things change, because Aaron and I actually were giving a presentation once a few years back, and a retired CPA, confronted us and said, "You're wrong. You have 3 years, right?
No,
3
you don't.
years to work a married filing joint return." And I go, "Sir, that tax code changed in 2009. And so these are things where, again, you got to pay attention and work with a team who's up to date on some of this stuff, because if you're not going to take the appropriate action or get a team involved that can help you right away, this is one of those things that can absolutely depreciate your assets very quickly. Taxes are no joke. And so if you have a situation that you're dealing with, and if you're in the unfortunate situation of losing a loved one or a significant other, please give our team a call, 800-928-4001. Talk to FEG at yourlifeafterwork.com. If you can also go to our website, yourlifeafterwork.com, to get some of the checklists that our team has prepared and created for situations just like this. Or if you're in the unfortunate situation where you're about to lose a loved one, again, we apologize, but we do have checklists that are available to you to help you start preparing for some of the events to come. So if you have any more questions, you'd like to get deeper content on what we do, consider this program is available to any listener who's wanting at any podcasting service available to you. We're also on some of the radio shows listed below. But I want to say thank you for being part of this show today. It's not a very happy one, unfortunately, but it is an important one. So we appreciate you sticking along for the ride. So thank you, my friends, and we'll see you next time.